Did you know that Red Bull has managed to completely transform the RB21 with an update that could change history in Singapore? What seemed like a car doomed to instability now hides a technical secret that has restored hope to the team. Before continuing, tell me in the comments, do you think these improvements will be enough for Verstappen to conquer Marina Bay for the first time? Because what Red Bull has just implemented could change not only his season, but also the championship. Stay until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In this video, we'll break down in detail the most significant technical update the RB21 has received all season, and how Red Bull plans to use it to overcome its biggest challenge, the Singapore street circuit, where Verstappen has never won. In recent weeks, the Formula One paddock has been flooded with rumors and comments revolving around Red Bull's surprising resurgence. Many claim that the key lies not only in the improvement of an isolated component, but in a much deeper transformation that would have changed the DNA of the RB21. The introduction of the new floor at Monza opened the door to theories that the Austrian team might have found a technical path that, until recently, seemed beyond its reach. Rival engineers have suggested that this component not only solves instability problems, but also radically expands the setup window, allowing for much more aggressive adjustments that were previously impossible without losing performance. Interestingly, these rumors aren't limited solely to the aerodynamics. It has been leaked that Red Bull has been secretly working on a brake cooling system inspired by solutions used by McLaren, which raised suspicions among several teams. Singapore, with its stifling heat and brutal demands on the brakes, is the perfect setting to see if this innovation makes a real difference. The fact that they've managed to keep most of the details secret until the final races fuels the feeling that Red Bull is trying to surprise everyone at the key moment of the season. Another of the most talked about rumors is that Red Bull's updates weren't improvised, but rather part of a strategic plan that had been in the works since preseason. Several specialized media outlets maintain that, after a disappointing start, the team decided to invest all its resources in this package of improvements, confident that if it worked, it would restore their competitiveness in the final stretch. This narrative has generated an air of mystery around the team, because if it's true that this update was planned for months, it means that Red Bull never lost sight of its main objective: to fight for victories again when it mattered most. Within Red Bull, the general feeling is one of relief combined with strategic caution. After several months of uncertainty, Verstappen's two recent victories have restored confidence to a team that seemed to have lost its way. However, both engineers and management know that the true test is yet to come. Technical director Pierre Watch himself made this clear in his statements. The victories at Monza and Baku are important, but both circuits favored very specific characteristics of the car. Marina Bay, on the other hand, represents a completely different challenge, with slow corners, extreme heat, and a layout where Red Bull has historically struggled. Therefore, the team's official position is to keep its feet on the ground and wait to see if the updated RB21 can also perform in adverse conditions. Max Verstappen, for his part, adopted a measured approach that reflects both his experience and his competitive instinct. Although he knows the chances of fighting for the championship are mathematically remote, he also understands that every race can make a difference to the team's morale and the direction of the season. His words strike a balance between caution and ambition. He acknowledges that Singapore has never been a favorable circuit for him, but at the same time he is optimistic about the improvements Red Bull has made to the car. For Verstappen, the important thing is that he now has a much more predictable car, with a solid base that allows him to push without fear that even the slightest variation in altitude or temperature will destabilize performance. This renewed confidence could be key to tackling a track as demanding as Marina Bay. The consequences of this update to the RB21 go far beyond a simple improvement on the track. If Red Bull can demonstrate that the victories at Monza and Baku were not a mirage, but a reflection of real technical progress, the dynamics of the championship could change dramatically. A solid performance in Singapore would validate the team's strategy and send a strong message to the rest of the field. Red Bull is once again a serious contender, even in the most adverse scenarios. This would not only boost internal morale, but also have a psychological impact on direct rivals like McLaren, who until now felt they had mastered the terrain on street circuits and high downforce. Another important consequence is in the championship arena. Although Verstappen remains far behind in the driver's standings, a good result in Singapore could keep his chances alive mathematically and, at the same time, strengthen Red Bull's fight for second place in the Constructors' Championship. The difference between finishing second or fourth is not simply symbolic. It has economic, strategic, and reputational implications. On a financial level, championship positions determine direct revenue from the FIA, while on a sporting level, finishing in a higher position strengthens the team's image with sponsors, technical partners, and future signings. On the other hand, if the update fails at Marina Bay, the blow to Red Bull would be devastating. Not only would they confirm that their recent victories were the result of favorable circumstances, but they would also once again be exposed at their weakest point, circuits that require maximum downforce and impeccable heat management. This scenario would open the door to an uphill end to the season, in which the team would have to accept that their car lacks the versatility necessary to compete with the current championship leaders. The impact on Verstappen's confidence and the paddock's perception would be significant, as they would lose the technical resurrection narrative they have worked so hard to build. Finally, the long-term impact must be considered. If the improvements really work in Singapore, Red Bull would not only be saving its season, but also laying the groundwork for 2026, when the new technical regulations will transform Formula One. Confirmation that the team has found a new path in terms of aerodynamic design and philosophy would allow them to project this knowledge into the future, consolidating a more solid technical project. On the other hand, if the result in Marina Bay is negative, Red Bull would have to rethink its approach for next year, accelerating the development of new solutions and investing more resources in catching up. The strategy they have adopted for Singapore is not to bring a package of radical new features, but rather to fully optimize the updates already introduced in Monza and Baku. This decision reflects the team's confidence that the new floor and the revised cooling system are robust enough to adapt to conditions as demanding as those at Marina Bay. The hope is that the RB21, for the first time in months, will be able to show consistency on a high downforce circuit, demonstrating that the transformation was not a passing flash, but a real change in its competitiveness. Verstappen is expected to make the most of the car's new setup window, leveraging his adaptability and aggressiveness to exploit a package that finally seems to offer stability and confidence. Yuki Tsunoda will also have a crucial role to play in the near future. The Japanese driver arrives in Singapore under pressure to secure valuable points for the Constructors' Championship, where every unit can make a difference. The expectations for him are clear. He must confirm the progress shown in previous races and demonstrate that he can be a real asset in Red Bull's fight to climb the championship ladder. His performance will also be closely watched by team management, who are still evaluating his continued presence amid rumors of young talents like Isaac Hadjar. Therefore, what is expected is for Tsunoda to translate the car's technical improvements into concrete results, thus consolidating his role within the team. Beyond Singapore, Red Bull's near future will be defined by the consistency they achieve in the final races of the calendar. The team cannot afford to rely on favorable circuits, as was the case at the start of the season. What is expected is that the new design philosophy applied to the RB21 will allow them to compete reliably in all types of scenarios, from demanding street layouts to high-speed circuits. What's striking about this moment is that Red Bull is playing for much more than a podium or a victory. It's playing for the world to confirm that it's back as a force capable of competing on any terrain. If they achieve this, they will not only revitalize their season, but completely change the narrative of 2025. The key is that Singapore represents an extreme challenge that allows for no half measures. Here, it won't be enough to be competitive during qualifying or show flashes of speed in the opening laps. What's expected is consistency, resilience in the sweltering heat, and an aerodynamic balance that allows Verstappen and Tsunoda to attack with confidence from start to finish. Therefore, this Grand Prix will not only be remembered for what happens on the track, but also for what it symbolizes. For Verstappen, it represents the opportunity to break a personal curse on the only circuit where he has never won. For Tsunoda, it's a chance to consolidate his position within the team and justify his continued presence among the elite. And for Red Bull, it's time to show they're still capable of reinventing themselves under pressure and returning to the center of the championship battle. What happens in Singapore will mark a turning point in the season. Before closing, I want to know your opinion. Do you think Red Bull can confirm its resurgence and win on a circuit as demanding as Marina Bay? Leave your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.